Okay, so this week is pretty dead for film, unfortunately. But Tuesday, I do have an early screening for Baby Driver. Thursday, Transformers: The Last Night. So I'll be seeing and reviewing both of those for you. But before that, I have something a little different to talk about. I've done TV show reviews before, but this time I'm going to be talking about season 5 of Orange is the New Black, which is a show that I really like. I got into it when it first came out, like season 1 and 2, I really enjoyed. I think I watched those, like when season 2 came out is when I started watching season 1. So I watched those. Thought season 3 wasn't so good, and then season 4 really picked up. And this season picks up literally like seconds after season 4 season 4 ended. So it starts off, if you haven't seen season 4, spoilers for that, but also spoilers for season 5 if you haven't seen either of the seasons. Major spoilers for both, but you know, if you've seen them, great. Let's talk about Orange is the New Black. So it starts with seconds after Pusey's death, which at first they really didn't touch upon much. I was like, oh, well, okay, they're not really talking about this. I thought that was going to be the point of the season. They get into it, and the point is Pusey's death, so don't worry too much about that. It is explored, and it is avenged. But before that, we get Daya with the gun. Is she going to shoot the guard? Is she not? Turns out, yeah, she shoots him straight in the leg, which obviously doesn't go down too well for, the prison and the people in it. But that's not the only thing that's happening, because a full-blown riot takes place at Litchfield, and it's really, really great. The whole season, the prisoners have taken control of the prison, and I thought that if they did that for the whole season, it could get a little boring, but it doesn't, fortunately. I mean, this is the lowest rated of the seasons on Rotten Tomatoes, but in my opinion, this was like the third best of the seasons. I really enjoyed season 1 and 2. I think season 2 is my favourite season, and like I said, I wasn't a fan of season 3, but this one I think does improve upon season 4, and it takes place in the space of 3 days. And at first, it really feels like it takes place longer, you know. It feels like a lot has happened in 3 days. When you look back at it, you're like, yeah, a lot can happen in a day. And I guess that is possible. But when you're watching it, I guess it's because they keep having the flashbacks as well to different past lives of different prisoners. Obviously, we've seen pretty much all of them now, but we get to see glimpses into different characters and different things that happen to characters we've already seen the past of. And it was very interesting. We get some good cameos. You know, Jason Biggs returns for a cameo. Actually, Samira Riley, who plays Pusey, returns for a cameo, which was nice to see her. But yeah, so there's not really a main character in the show. It was Piper for the first 2 seasons. She was the main character, the character you cared about most. Then she became a bitch, and I feel like she's more of a supporting character. This one, the main character's basically Tasty, I think, because she's running this whole riot. She's taking down the negotiations, you know, she's doing the demands, and she's the one avenging Pusey's death. So I feel like they made her the main character in this season. But I didn't mind that at all. I like her as a character, and I think she's miles better than the nowadays Piper. But they have toned her down a bit, and Piper's not so much a bitch now. She's actually okay in this season. She's bearable. But it's just like Taylor Schilling was the star of this show. She's the reason the show exists, because we follow her prison sentence. And now that we're here, it's like, well, I guess we don't really care about that anymore. But yeah, this season does deal with a lot of serious things. You know, it's the least funny of all the seasons. There are funny moments, of course. This show's very funny, and it's known for its comedy. But there's more drama in this one. It's very sad. It's very, you know, it hits you hard. The final episode, the finale, which I'll talk about in detail soon, it hit me hard, and I finished it, and I was like, that was very, very heart-wrenching. And it was like, in a good way, because a lot happens to lots of different characters, you know. The main thing that happens in the finale involves Piscatella. We find out his backstory. We don't really find out any motivation for him, though. He's just sort of like, you know, what happens is he turns out to be a gay character, which was like, okay, we probably could have seen that coming. And then the person that he's fallen in love with in this prison is savagely beaten, so he like tortures him in the shower, and that's his backstory. And it's like, I thought we were going to get an explanation as to why he's so much of a dick. I mean, I know he saw this, but it's like, there's nothing to say that he should be torturing people and destroy. Because there's this one episode that's very, very intense. You know, throughout the whole of it, they're taking down this riot. There's like fighting and violence, and you know, a lot's happening. The guards are being taken hostage, so that's one thing. You know, we're seeing them being tortured, you know, taken to the shoe, but instead of the shoe, it's the poo. They get thrown in like a toilet that's filled to the brim with shit. Like, Caputo spends most of the season in that toilet, and it's like, well, Caputo's a dick, but my god, that is brutal. But yeah, the most brutal episode, I think it was directed by Laura Prepon, who plays Alex. I think she is gorgeous, and I love the character of Alex. So she's played by her, yeah. And she directed this episode, and it was the most intense episode of Orange is the New Black I've seen. Piscatella gets into the prison, and he's torturing Red. He's, like, cutting her hair off with a knife, and he breaks Alex's arm behind her back, and it was like, I don't know how they're going to redeem Piscatella, if at all. And then finally they do try and redeem him, and this is probably the biggest spoiler from the season so far, but they do try and redeem him, and he walks out, you know, and the guards find him, like, they let him free, the prisoners let him free, they're like, we can't be bothered with this shit. Red just cuts the rope, she's like, get the fuck out. So he does get out, and then all of a sudden this guard just shoots him in the head, and it says a lot about guard corruption, you know. We got a lot of that in season 4, and in this one, you know, they got into the prison, they're treating these prisoners like crap, but they've uploaded this video to YouTube so they can see how they've been treated, and it's like, yeah, you know, this shouldn't be going on. Even if these are criminals, they shouldn't be getting treated this way. And I like how they deal with that. And then when Piscatella walks out, he just gets shot in the head, straight through the eyes. And it's like, it just shows like how a guard would react if they thought that, like, this person just walked out and gets shot. And I know it's Piscatella, and I know he's a dick, and that it's like, you know, something that we've all wanted to see. It was very satisfying to see him die, but it was like, in the way he does, it also says a lot about corruption in prisons and with guards. Police corruption is a major theme of Orange is the New Black, and they handled it really well. So, other major spoilers, Piper proposes to Alex, so they are going to apparently get married if they ever make it out of the prison. Actually, Pennsatucky escapes from prison in this one as well. They cut a hole in the fence. I think it's, is it Maria? She cuts a hole in the fence to let out the guards, because if she lets out the guards, she's promised, you know, a reduced prison sentence, which of course it's a lie, but she lets them out, and then we just see Pennsatucky get out, and this is where I think the show took a turn that I didn't want it to take, because I think it's Officer Coates, who she's dating in season 3 or 4, and then obviously there is that bit where he rapes her, and it's a very dark scene, and you really feel for her. She's been a dick in the past. I mean, season 1, she was an unbearable character, but you look at it and you're like, yeah, this shouldn't be happening. This is horrible, and they handle it in a pretty good way, you know. So yeah, and then in this one, she escapes from the prison, and she just gets with Coach. She goes to his house, and they start dating, and it's like, I don't know if I'm on board with this at all. I mean, how is he redeemable at all? They've tried to redeem this guy. I mean, she lets him out earlier on, and he shoots off Leanne's finger, and it's like, you know, fine, they make him into a dick. He is a dick, and then she just gets with him in the end, and it's like, well, I'm not a fan of this. I noticed that in the opening titles, Healy's name, the guy who plays him, Michael J. Harney, came up. He's not in this season at all. You don't see him once, not even a cameo, you know. Like I said, you see Larry and you see Poussey briefly, and it's like, you don't see him at all. It's like, why is his name in the credits? But yeah, so let's get into the very finale of this. There's probably things that I might have missed, but they're not very important things, because the main thing is the riot and the spoilers that I have talked about. There's nothing really more major to talk about than those, but the very finale of this is emotional, and I felt it straight in the heart. The guards get into the prison, like all of the main characters, so Piper, Red, Nikki, Crazy Eyes, or Suzanne, like all of those got Tasty and everyone, they're all underneath the prison in the swimming pool. And then, oh, there is one thing I didn't talk about actually, before I get into the ending. Dyer does shoot the guard in the leg, and he does end up dying. So we get the death of both Humphreys and Piscatella this season. It's a good season for Orange is the New Black. So yeah, let's get into the finale, the very last bit. This is the bit I wanted to talk about, apart from obviously Piscatella's death. I love talking about that because it's awesome. But yeah, the guards get into this pool, and you know that Toy Story 3 scene where all the toys are holding hands, they're about to die? It happens in this. They're all holding hands, and you're just like, okay, this is hitting me hard. And they get in there. They're all being sent off to different prisons, maximum security because of this riot. Litchfield is closed down, and you just look at it and you're like, how can they follow up this season? How can we have a season 6? Is it going to take place in all these different prisons? Is Litchfield going to be reopened? I want to find out, and I'm looking forward to finding out, but I don't want them to ruin what a good season this one was, because yeah, as I said, it is currently the lowest rated, but in my opinion, it's one of the best seasons, and it's got the best story of all the seasons. So I really enjoyed this one. The budget's higher, the action is more action-packed. That didn't make sense. But yeah, but also it keeps the heart and the original tone of Orange is the New Black, and I really enjoyed this season. So have you seen season 5 of Orange is the New Black? If you have, comment below, let me know what you thought of it. Is it your favorite? Is it your least favorite? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.